brutally honest, I'm rattled. That talk was for me because if I'm being honest, I lost my shit because you give me a schedule and I'm like, I'm at 5:10, what are you talking about? I'm out there studying. So, bear with me. Okay? Nothing against them here, they're trying their best, but I'm just rattled. And sometimes, my husband likes to say that when I'm rattled and pissed, the firecracker in me comes out, so I'm going for it. So maybe that's what I needed. I needed to get rattled to get the nerves out, okay? All right. So my name is Louisa Marie. My last name is Thiessen. I don't use it very often because it's a Canadian last name, Mennonite, and people get confused. I'm not Canadian. And we can talk more about that in the networking event. Oh shoot, I was gonna time myself. I might go over, bear with me. Anyways, so I'm Louisa Marie. I am a mom. I am a wife. I've been married for 13 and a half years. I am a Latina, which comes, this is the fiery side of me. And I'm half Dominican, half Cuban, so I have a very fiery mix to me. I'm an entrepreneur. I am a sustainable business growth strategist. I am an empath. I feel things very deeply, even though I'm very fiery. I am a cancer survivor. I am a complex post-traumatic stress disorder warrior. And I am a huge mental health advocate. And every single one of those identities have shaped how I define success today. But if I'm being brutally honest with you, that wasn't always the case. And I was quietly defining success in a way that was breaking me, and I didn't even know it. So a bit more about myself. I grew up in the streets of Brooklyn, New York.
All right.
Yes, I'm a Brooklyn girl. And it's the ghetto. It's not the Brooklyn you see on TV. Let's just clear that up. It is the ghetto. No tourist is going to my neighborhood to visit, okay? And growing up there, as you can imagine, it was hard. Any idea that you have of an inner city, things that could go wrong there, it happened. Shootings, stabbings, drugs. My neighbor was a drug dealer, so we had cops in and out. So many things that are not normal, but for me, it was. It was. And as a child, you just kind of learn to adapt. And you roll with the punches, literally and figuratively. Or at least you try to. Because you see, I was a very sensitive kid. I'm an empath, remember? And I felt everything deeply. I saw the world around me in a way that I can't even explain it. If you're an empath, you probably know. And it was hard for me to grapple with that. And unfortunately, in my family, that wasn't welcomed. Because first of all, you're a Latina. What do you mean you're sensitive? Like, pull it together. We don't have time for these feelings. And my mom was on a mission to toughen me up. And to a certain extent, I thank her for that. But, oh my gosh, she did so much damage. So, because I, empathetic Louisa, sensitive Louisa wasn't welcome, I just adapt. I toughen up. I don't need anyone. I don't feel anything. I just bottle it all in because that's what I'm told to do. There was so much abuse in my house. Mental, physical, verbal. You name it, it was there. My mom had her own issues, bless her heart. So on top of all that, I lose my dad to cancer when I'm 10. And that was a very hard time for me. And of course, I didn't have to choose to process that kind of loss. I wasn't allowed to feel. So what did I do? I bottled those feelings. And anytime I wanted to cry, I didn't. I didn't. And during that time, I started to feel like I just wasn't enough because I couldn't get rid of these feelings. Why am I feeling sad? Why am I devastated that my dad's dead? I'm not supposed to feel this way. I need to be strong. So I felt like I wasn't enough. and internalized that, and that is how I started to define stress and strength and success. Strength for me was success. So of course, that version of me, it didn't stay in childhood. Oh no, she came right along with me into adulthood. And she was stronger and fiery, more fiery than ever. So I graduated when I was 17 and went straight into university, and I studied business management. And I got very lucky that I had the right connections, and I landed a job at 19 in an architect office in Soho, Manhattan. Little old me from the ghetto in Soho, Manhattan, strutting with my little shoes. Those were the days. I started off as an office assistant, and when I was in there, I was like, I'm gonna prove myself, because other people have said that people like me don't belong in these environments. But I'm gonna prove myself. I belong here. I don't care what you say. I'm an office assistant now, but watch me climb that ladder. Oh, and I did. I got somewhat lucky by someone's misery. The executive assistant quit, which should have been a red flag for me, but little old me. Okay, see ya, I'll take this. Then my supervisor had to take stress leave. Another red flag that little old me didn't notice. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm the only admin. I'm gonna step up to this plate. And I did. I ran that office. And it was great. It was good. I was a yes girl. Anything you needed me to do, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna stay up late. Even though I have a paper due the next day, but it's all good because I got this. I got this. I belong here. I am enough. I am strong. And as you can imagine, little by little, that started to eat at me. I started to feel off, and I'm like, I'm miserable. Like, why am I so miserable? Didn't think anything. I'm like, well, this is just life, whatever. And then I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to find a different job where I'm making a bigger difference, because this whole, yeah, sure, we're doing buildings and whatnot, but I'm not making a big enough difference. Maybe nonprofit. Maybe I'll do that. So I landed a job in a nonprofit office, well, organization, and I was the administrator for the youth department. And I thought, this is it. This is gonna solve all my problems, because I'm being a world changer. So all these feelings that I'm feeling, all this exhaustion, it's gonna go away because I'm changing the world. Now, has anybody worked in a nonprofit sector before? A lot of you. Now, nonprofits are great, but if you don't have boundaries and they don't have proper systems, they will run you to the ground. You're gonna change the world. You're gonna die right down on a hill. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. And I was there. I had zero boundaries. Of course I did it, because I took all those patterns that I had with me, and they took advantage of that. I don't think they did it on purpose, but they did. I remember on Saturdays was my biggest day. It was outreach day. I would work from 8 o'clock in the morning to about 11:30 at night. And I had to be at work the next morning at around 9. And I thought that was normal, because I'm a world changer. And yeah, I'm gonna go with it. So I kept going and going and going. Unstoppable. I'm strong. I belong here. I'm gonna prove myself. I'm not gonna call in sick. I'm gonna crawl in, because I have what it takes to be here. The need is the call, and I am here to stay. And that all caught up to me. I remember waking up in the morning, and I was just like jittery. I didn't understand what was happening. And I would go and literally throw up. I was physically ill. But I'm not calling in sick, and I ain't telling anyone, because mama didn't raise someone who's weak. And I belong here. So I would just take some Pepto-Bismol, ginger ale, because ginger ale solves all our problems, and I'm like, I'm going to work. And I kept at that for a long time. And eventually my body gave up. During that time I got married, I met my husband. He's from Canada, where I currently live. And he was also kind of burning out. And we both were just like, you know what, we want something different. This is not going to be sustainable for our marriage anyway. So he was just like, well, let's just move to Canada. First I was like, hell no, like, why would I go there? But the West Coast is beautiful. It's not like the snowy things you see on TV. Anyways, I digress. So we moved Vancouver, Canada, and I was like, this is it, new beginnings. I made it out, I'm good. I couldn't work for 6 months, which was great because my immigration status, and I needed that. If not, I would have been crazy enough to go back to work even though my body was depleted. During that time, why I thought that peace would be great, I learned, oh, you can run away from your problems, but they will come back and find you. You have to deal with it because the body, it keeps the score.
Yes.
It does. I would wake up in the middle of the night with night terrors. And I would think that someone was in my room beating me. My mom, to be specific. Because I had relaxed, my body was relaxed. I'm living a princess life. My husband's working, I can't work. How dare you, Louisa? I raised an independent woman. Get your ass up and go to work. So I would wake up thinking someone was in there, like, beating me. And my husband would be like, what are you doing? What's going on? And I was like, well, I don't know, it was a nightmare. I tried to ignore it. The body keeps the score. You can't ignore that. So I would go on about my business. I started volunteering at a local organization. And my body was physically exhausted from like not sleeping. I was driving back home and one of the flashbacks came. And I remember it was like, you're not enough, you're this, you're that. Like, how dare you? All these things in my head, and I was just like, I'm just gonna end my life right now because I can't do this. I'm sick of this. And as I was going to throw my car into the ditch, something just stopped me. And I was like, I can't do this because I just started a new life with my husband. Why would I do this? That would be so selfish. And I got a vision of him crying. I'm an empath, remember? And just that image of him crying, I'm like, I couldn't do it. Slammed the brakes, called my husband right away. I'm like, I almost just ended it all. And he's like, you need help. And I said, yeah. So I went to therapy. A year and a half of EMDR, rewiring my brain, dealing with all the feelings that I shoved down as a kid. The death of my dad. I'm grieving my dad 20 years after his death. All while feeling guilty for these feelings because, hey, I'm not supposed to feel. But my therapist says, you need to feel these feelings because this is normal. So I did that. Year and a half rewiring my brain. And it was hell. If you're gonna do EMDR, make sure you have support and you get, just come see me afterwards. I did the work and I'm like, great, I'm healed, everything's great. And I felt very good. And then I became a mom. And motherhood is such a blessing, and it has a way to bring up all sorts of things. So I have a 9 and 7-year-old now. But I decided when I had my son that I would be a stay-at-home mom. Initially I wasn't, because I'm like, I'm a strong, independent woman. I'm not staying home with these kids. But then in Canada, you get a year maternity leave. And I was like, well, I remember, I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this kid for a year? And I loved it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I stayed home with my son, and I resigned from my job, and it was great. Then I had my daughter. My daughter is a year and a half younger than him. I don't recommend doing it that quick, but hey, it happened. And it was great. I did have postpartum depression, but I was able to beat it. Everything was going great. I loved motherhood. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good. I'm working through my things, helping my kids work through their things. And then COVID happens, and I'm like, So when COVID happened, my son was 3, my daughter was a year and a half. My husband was an essential worker. So I was home with these kids all day, every day. And I don't know what it was like over here, but back in Canada, you can't even go to a playground because you have like yellow tape all over it. And I was just trapped there. I couldn't do anything with my kids. And I hit a really dumb moment. I was like mommy burnout, I guess. And I remember telling my husband, I'm like, this is awful, I hate this. I gotta do something for me. And I said, you know what, I'm going back to work. Forget this. We're gonna put these kids in daycare and we can figure it out. And then I looked up daycare pricing and I was like, oh, no we're not. And then after that, I was like, you dummy, like it's a pandemic. Why would you put your babies in daycare? Yeah. Anyways, I did that. Well, I didn't do that. And then I sat there and I was devastated and I thought, okay, Louisa, there's 2 things you know for sure. You absolutely love helping people and you're really good at admin stuff. So why don't you just offer admin stuff? So I told my husband, hey, I'm gonna offer admin stuff, admin support, I'm gonna put it on Facebook. And he was like, okay, whatever. I did it. Started my business, no strategy, no big plan, just bam. Put it on Facebook, had 3 clients, and I'm like, oh, I should probably start a business because I have to pay taxes. I had no intention of starting a business. I knew how to do it because I studied business in school, but anyways, I did that. And everything was great. The first year, fantastic. I'm like, I'm doing the things. But as we are all entrepreneurs, we know the entrepreneurial world is loud with all the things that you should be doing. Specifically Instagram. You have all these experts, do this to get to 7 figures or 6 figures, do this, do that. And I'm like, I'm gonna prove that I am the better entrepreneur here. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna prove that I'm enough. So I went that route, listening to all the noise. And then something didn't sit right. I'm like, I can't, this isn't me. I hired a coach to help me. And he was okay. His methodologies weren't wrong, but they weren't okay for my season of life because I had my 4-year-old daughter at the time at home. And what he wanted me to do would mean I couldn't spend time with my daughter. So what he told me was a limiting belief. I was like, no, it's not. This is my reality. So then I just kind of flipped. I'm like, okay, it's not a limiting belief. I'm just not listening to you because I don't want to do it. So that happened. So after that, I remember feeling, again, defeated. I'm not enough. I don't have what it takes to do this. Why can I do this? Why? If this coach is so amazing, why can't his things not work for me? And I sat there, and I got this vision of all the different industries that I've worked in. So I worked in the architect office, I worked in the real estate office, I worked in hospitality with the manufacturers, I worked in nonprofit. All those offices, I worked as the office manager/administrator. I did all the things. However, I had to adjust my strategies and what I did for that organization. And then it was like, light bulb, wait a minute, Louisa, you are unique. You are Louisa. Why are you trying to run your business like him? Why? It's not gonna work because you're Louisa. You're unique. And once that clicked, I went back to the drawing board and I started doing my own thing. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I set up my own system, my own strategy. I started networking on my terms, and it worked. I hired people to help me, even though I was told, because I was still small, don't hire people. Let me tell you, I hired someone for very minimal hours, and I doubled the size of my business because of that. I did it. It was great. And what I realized during that is that although I thought I was being successful back then because I was an entrepreneur, it wasn't. It was literally survival dressed up as success. I was trying to survive all the noise, survive what everyone's telling me I need to do, but it didn't fit with me, and I'm not meant to fit in the mold. And I don't think this is just my story. Nope. I think a lot of you in here are trying to fit into this mold that you don't belong in. You say you want freedom, you say you want all these things, you build a business out of passion, but yet you're trying to run your business the same way as everyone else, and it doesn't work that way. Because your business is as unique as you are. Yes. What works for her is not gonna work for you. And if you have a coach or a strategist who's telling you you need to do something a certain way and it doesn't work, then you gotta move on. Because there's other people out there who will look at you as the individual that you are and will help you build a business that fits your life and not the other way around. You don't have to run yourself to the ground for the sake of being a successful entrepreneur. So I leave this with you. Success is up to you. That is your thing to define. Success for me last year was literally taking my kids on a Disney cruise, all paid. That's all I wanted. I didn't care if I had 7 figures. My kids went on a Disney cruise, and I went with them, and we had a blast. So what does success look like for you? I want you to sit with that. I know my time is up, but you can give me another 2 minutes. You can give me another 2 minutes. We got time. People left. Success that doesn't fit your life is not success. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Now, I would love to continue this conversation with you. I have these cards on your table, and there's a nice little QR code. I didn't do a presentation. I don't do that. Like, if you scan that QR code, it's gonna take you to a page where it's gonna ask for your name and email address. You're not gonna get spam. It's literally my way of knowing that we need to continue the conversation. So what's gonna happen is, after this conference, I'm gonna go on my computer, and I'm going to send you an email with a link to book a virtual coffee chat with me so that we can have the conversation that needs to be had. Thank you so much for listening.